Good morning, guys. So, in our last session, we have discussed about bucket policies, event notifications, and object lock. So, did you get any chance to perform this task? Okay. So, is that went well, success, or faced any difficulty? Rajesh, please turn off your camera. Yeah. Is it success, guys? Is it went well, or you faced any difficulty? Have you have provided that access?
Oh, well, Avinash, I didn't try that yet.
Okay.
Maybe I'll try it today. It's a weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I'm having few questions, Avinash, if I can. I mean, those are from the previous sessions, right?
Okay.
Can I?
Yeah.
So, I was asking, right? I mean, the account that you use, right, for these demos, right, is that a non-free tier account?
Yes, it's not comes under free tier eligibility.
Okay, because you keep on moving, you keep on changing the storage class to Glacier and all. So, are you paying for that?
Yes, of course I do. See, this
Okay.
account I'm using from 2016 onwards.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, every month I'll get bill around like $4 to $5.
Mm-hmm.
So I pay that bill every month.
Okay. And next question is if the delete marker is also is an object, right? In
Mhm.
S3. It
Yeah.
is okay, so it is also treated as an object.
Yes, it's a 0 bytes object. Zero
Zero.
bytes without any
Mm-hmm.
data, nothing. It's a 0 bytes object, so it won't cost us anything. First thing.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever you deleted any object, so delete marker is going to override it, right?
Yes.
So the
Yes.
actual objects will become as a previous version.
Mm-hmm.
The
The
delete
new
marker will
object
become
gets
as the
created.
current version. Yes. Based on
Delete
life cycle.
marker becomes a current version, or it's a totally different object gets created because it does not get open to a file
Yes.
to the. Okay. So when configuring the lifecycle rule, right, there is an option that to delete the expired delete markers, right? So there is was mentioned that you cannot enable delete expired object delete marker if you enable expire current version of the object, right?
Yes.
So I was not able to understand that. It's a bit confusing for me. Can you
Very
explain?
simple. If you have any orphaned delete markers, it will clear that.
So
So,
how the orphan delete marker will get created
for
when the delete
example,
marker itself gets expired?
okay. So, orphan delete marker means you have applied lifecycle management role for all the previous versions of the object.
Mm-hmm.
So, the delete marker overridden all the existing data. So, as you applied lifecycle management rule, what happened? All your data is going to delete, but you haven't applied anything on the current version.
Mm-hmm.
So, will the delete marker deletes?
No.
So, those we call it as a orphan delete markers. So, such
Mm-hmm.
type of ones, it's going to delete with that option.
Okay, but how it conflicts with enable expire current version of the object?
Whenever you
Because that.
expire, for example, so
Mhm,
delete marker is the current version technically,
mhm.
right? So
Yes.
again, will it delete marker? What happens? Are we going to get another delete marker? No, right? That's why it
No.
conflicts with that feature.
Okay. Okay. Now it is clear.
Yeah,
Fine, Avinash. Thank you.
yeah. Right. So with IAM policy, Pavitra did. Yes, we need to go with the IAM policy, and eventually, okay, right. So that's a part of troubleshooting and R&D. So good to see someone did the task. And anyone tried and failed at least? Or any other questions before starting the session, guys? No questions?
Avinash, you have not uploaded this on GitHub, right, for last 3 days.
Is it? Uh,
Avinash, could you ping this GitHub link to the chat box?
23 hours ago I uploaded.
So I just checked last night. It is.
Avinash, could you ping this link to the chat box? I don't have a link for GitHub.
Okay. It's in our chat box now. So please bookmark this. Why? Because this is going to be fixed for, like, you know, entire course. Okay, I re-uploaded this for you guys. Okay. Any other questions?
What is per GB fees in Glacier storage? When if that will cost us when our Glacier storage will exceed 1 GB or
No. Basically, Glacier won't comes under free tier eligibility. So if the base price is like, you know, Amazon is going to calculate per GB, this is the cost per GB $1, per GB, you know, $2. For example, you running a server. So how it is going to cost us? Per hour basis, it is going to cost us, or per minute basis, it is going to cost us. So when coming to Glacier, so if you are storing 1 GB of the data in Glacier, okay, this is what you are going to get charged.
But if I store MBs of data, would that charge too?
No, it charged, like, you know, based on how much MB you stored.
Okay, you just said that it comes under free tier eligibility, but we know that we get this free standard storage only with free tier.
Yes.
Then
So
how come
even in
Glacier
task
comes?
also, I have given, I asked you to perform from directly standard to delayed. Why? Because I know it's going to cost, like, you know, small cents. So even if you observe my billing, yes, I'll pay for that. And that's why clearly mentioning you are going to get only S3 standard.
Okay.
So then you should pay some attention towards that.
Avinash, for
Bills, pick previous month bill, navigate to S3, and here you have seen that, right? Like, you know, so here to perform put operations, get operations and all, as I perform 1246, I got 1 cent bill for this. So that's one thing. And for Glacier Tire, so 4 cents for 10,000 get operations. So I run only 10 requests, so not got charged for anything there.
Avinash, this is on request. Like you're saying, this is on like get request, but you said we wanna pay on per GB.
Yes, here you can see 0.005 per GB per month of storage used for Amazon Glacier. So if you are storing 1 GB data for entire month with the storage class as a Amazon Glacier, you are going to get charged 0.005.
So this is not depend on like how people are putting get request and put request. This is
That is
totally based
secondary.
on.
See, total on 3 things you are going to get charged. First one, what is the storage class? Second one, how many requests? Third one, how much data is transferred out to other region or out from S3 platform. Total 3. I already explained that, I believe. I mentioned that here. Somewhere here, I remember that I explained that based on 3 things we are going to. So this is for the storage class. It's not even like, even not equal to cent also. So it's a 0.005. So
So, Avinash, so for standard and glacier and for different storage classes, like how many input output operation and how that is going to charge? Could you give some insight? Then it will be helpful.
who is asking that question?
Vijay.
Vijay, I hope you remembered I shown one, bill also. So at organization level, we don't worry about those things. Why? Because just observe, just for 1 month, I took a screenshot for 1 month, April 2020, we are paying $20,000. We're paying $91,000 for another AWS account just for 1 month. So at organization level, you no need to worry about that. Here, why I'm stressing that, I don't want you to get charged for that.
That I got it. But
Yeah.
if someone want to like create some PPT or present to the business, okay, we can use this tier, and in this tier we're gonna get this many input and output operations. And then if you take an example, if I had to plan my current data storage, move to the S3, and then I need to present to the business
Yes.
for specific standards. These many charges are there, and the charges is calculated based on these many input output, and this and some of the steps are based on the GB. How many GB you are storing into?
So use this calculator.aws. Fill up all your values. So click on create estimation, go and pick the S3 and click on configure what storage class, how many uploads, how many downloads, how much data is going to go out from your AWS, go into AWS, go here and enter this. You will get the bill estimation here. You can add the estimation, you can share it, you can download also in a CSV format file.
Okay.
So this
So
is
for
a web page, calculator.aws.
for AWS exam, like associate exam, so are we gonna get some questions on how many input output, or how we need to decide, or still I'm not clear about it.
Have you gone through the questions I shared?
Yeah, questions I have gone through. So
Those all real certification questions only, right?
so people are not gonna ask us on like how many input output operation is gonna perform on per tier level.
It depends on organization to organization. For example, Netflix is using AWS. Will that same with Airbnb? Airbnb also using AWS. Another application, for example, Events Now also is using. So Events Now is that big as Big Book My Show? So can we compare? So it
No,
depends on
not.
client requirement.
No, I'm saying for AWS certification, you have like we have gone through like 20-30 questions, and in that questions, people will not ask about like your input output operation, and those type of questions was not there. So my simple
Think
question.
real time, think real time. See, if it is a standard way, then only they will ask. But it varies from company to company, right? And if they're asking that question, I'll definitely cover, I'll definitely show you that question.
In short answer, they are not asking like on input
Not
output.
asking. If you come across any question, please get that question here, I'll clarify.
Okay.
Yeah. Right. So here in today's session, we're going to discuss a couple of more S3 properties. So whenever you navigate to properties, most of the properties we discussed, object lock done. So requester page, we'll talk about that. So here we have static website hosting. So when coming to S3 platform, we have a feature where we can host our static website. Static website means the web pages are going to be fixed. You're not going to have any backend database and all. You're not going to have any backend database, the web pages are going to be fixed web pages. If you want to go with the dynamic web page, we have EC2, we have RDS. This is just one of the feature of S3 and it supports only S3 static. Okay, why? Because we cannot modify, there is no option to connect to database from here. So it supports only static website hosting. So when coming to the static website hosting, we need to follow a couple of things. In future, if you want to map your domain name, so we are going to get a URL that https://bucketname.website.s3.amazonaws.com. This is going to be the URL for our website. So to remember that bit difficult, right? So what we can do by using an option called Route 53, there is a dedicated module for this. By using Route 53, we can map our domain name to the domain, S3 given domain. So if you want to map, if you don't want to map, yeah, whatever the one AWS S3 is giving, if you are good to go with that, yeah, you no need to worry about this particular thing. But if you want to map, for example, I have a website called avinash.tk. I already purchased this domain name from a domain registrar like a GoDaddy and all. So now I need to create a bucket name with the same name. So if you want to create a website, for example, google.com you want to host, so you must have like, you know, a bucket with the google.com. So your bucket name should be same as your domain name if you want to map domain in future after Route 53. Okay, so that's the first thing. Second thing, whatever the data you store in this S3 platform, so basically website can be accessible by everyone, but by default whenever you upload any data to S3 platform, it won't be accessible by everyone, right? So you should make data public accessible. You should make data publicly accessible. So then only the end customer is going to get access to the data. So for any static website, the default object is going to be index.html. So if you want to give any error message and all, we can use error.html. These are going to be standard. If I don't want to go with the standard, I want to give my own name, of course we can give it. So default object, we are going to, here in this case, we are going to give index.html. Error document or error object, I'm going to give error.html. So whatever the request is you're getting to this particular bucket, if you want to redirect to any other domain, you can do that. We can configure domain redirection to another S3 bucket or to another regular websites also we can configure. So now here I have a bucket. So for example, I want to go with the avinash.com. I want to go with the avinash.com. So I created a bucket with the name called avinash.com. So do I have any object? No objects available here, even under properties also. So static website hosting by defaultly, it will be in disabled state. So it's in disabled state. Here you can observe. So now when I go here, if I'm trying to access avinash.com, okay, the browser cache actually. So otherwise I can take another bucket if you have any questions on that. Do I have any data? All right, avinash.website is my domain and static website is not available. So avinash.website. So it's giving some error messages, and also in future I have a thought to map my domain name. So I'm going to use this. So earlier I used to own this domain. That's why that advertisement and all. Right. So here I'm going to create an object and I'm going to upload. If you are looking for some, like, you know, you can find n number of the free HTML templates. You can pick any of the HTML template and you can upload to S3 bucket. So I'm going to If you want to, you can use W3 schools also. W3 schools HTML tutorials. You can find n number of the HTML tutorials. This is a very simple one. For example, if you click on try it yourself, this is what the code, this is what the output. For example, instead of like, this is a header I want to give. So this is my static website. So then run. Here it is showing. And okay, I think I deleted something. We need to give header. Whenever you're giving header 1, so this will come as a big. So let me add header manually. This is my static website hosted using S3 and run. This is what my website. So you can pick this code. So create a file on my desktop. I'm creating a very simple file, text document, and I'm going to call it as index. And I'm going to rename it as a .html. So here is the one index.html. Okay, so this is a web page. Now, if I'm trying to, like, if I'm performing some planned maintenances, or I want to perform some maintenances, like, my website, like, I want to take it down and all for some time, I want to give a custom error message. So I can give error.html. So let me edit this. And here I'm going to mention, so this is, or else this website is under maintenance. Contact us at and something, right? So this is error.html, index.html, very simple web pages. So then upload these to your S3 bucket. Okay. So here is my S3 bucket. I'm uploading both the objects to my S3 platform. Scroll down, click on upload. So both the objects got uploaded here. So now need to go to properties, scroll down to the bottom, static website hosting option is there. Click on edit, and here static website hosting I'm going to enable. Click on enable. So host a static website. The second option, if you are getting any requests, so redirect the request to this particular domain name, what protocol you want to use, that you can choose. But host a static website, let's see that first. So then what is your index document? The standard one is index.html, but as I mentioned, if you have any other document, of course, you can give that as a default one. And error one, that's not mandatory. Error is an optional, but index is a mandatory one. So I have given that. Then scroll down, then click on save changes. So now this website is enabled with static website hosting, and this is the static website URL. So to access that website, we need to follow this https://bucket name, then s3-website, then .region code, then Amazon AWS.com. This is a syntax for this. Okay, so now if you are trying to access that here, so it is saying forbidden access denied. So 403. I hope you guys know HTTPS status codes. HTTPS status codes. So if you are seeing something related to 200, okay, or success, right? Any 200 related status code. Anything related to 300. 400, you must know this 400 related error. Error 404, 403. 300 is a redirection errors. 400 client side error. The web page is there, but you have permission issues or you are giving wrong name and all. 500 server side error. These are the HTTP status codes. So it is saying, okay, 403 forbidden. That means client side error. That means we are the client. So we have some problem. What is the problem? Access denied. Whenever we are trying to access this, index.html web page is trying to open. So that is not able to open because of the permission issues. So how to fix that? We already know that. So navigate to S3 bucket, permissions, block public access, turn off this block, turn off this block. Once you turn off this block public access, then go back to all your object, select all actions, scroll down, make public. Once you made the data public, so then whenever you go here, you can find this. Not only here, anywhere from the world. I'm pasting this URL in our chat box. So just click on that link, you will get the web page. Just click on that link, you will get the web pages, this particular web page, right? So in future, instead of like, this is big lengthy one to remember and not easy to remember also. So I can map my avinash.website domain name against this domain name. So that we will discuss how to do in our Route 53 session. Don't worry at moment. At moment, go with this website. Okay. So if you want to perform any domain redirection, for example, due to some reasons, this index.html is not available. See, I'm deleting this index.html. So I deleted that index.html. Let's assume I'm doing some planned maintenance and all. So I deleted that. When I go here, when I'm trying to access, see here, it is giving the URL is same. I'm not giving anything like a /error.html and all. I'm not giving anything like that. But for the same URL, when I'm trying to access, it is showing error message. So this you can expect a question in your certification exam. So the question is, you have a load balancer, and whenever you are performing any maintenances for that load balancer, you want to give a static error message to all your end customers. So how you are going to use, what service is supportable. So in that case, you can mention, okay, we can take an S3 whenever the primary website is down. So automatically we can deliver this error website. So that you can choose. So about load balancer, we'll discuss later. But again, if you upload that index.html, if you made it like, public read access, then automatically only index.html is delivered. And sometimes you want to configure domain redirection. So then you can go here, instead of bucket hosting, you can choose redirect request to an object. So what website I want to, okay, whatever the requests are coming, I want to send it to avinash.tk domain name. What is the protocol? HTTP protocol. Then scroll down, click on save changes. Now, whoever is trying to access this domain name, when I give refresh, see here, automatically it is going to avinash.tk. See, this is my domain name. When I give refresh, it's going to automatically avinash.tk and all. So that is a redirection. Automatically URL redirection is going to happen. So that is a static website hosting, and companies, big companies and all, they really don't use this static website. Always we go with the dynamic hosting. Okay, here bucket name has dot in it. Why the path is still virtual path? See, that is not a virtual path. In virtual path, you are not going to get anything like a S3 website. In virtual path, do we have anything like S3 website? But if you observe this URL, we have S3 website. This makes a difference.
Okay.
I hope I answered your questions, Faraj.
But I mean, if I remember right, when we were having a dot in the bucket name, that was appended at the last, right? If I'm not mistaken anything.
But for this hosting feature,
Mm-hmm.
we really no need to.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So that is another feature on our S3 bucket. So make sure you are within, like, if you prepare a website and all, like, make sure your get request should not exceed more than 20,000 if you want to be under free tier limitation. And then we have permissions. So we know what exactly block public access is. We know what exactly bucket policy is. And here, object ownership, this is, okay, think new option. So we have ACL. When coming to ACL, ACL stands for access control list. So basically, so if you want to, this is your own AWS account permission. So you have a bucket and what permission your AWS account IAM users have. This is all IAM users permission. So this is bucket or object permission. This is permissions on the bucket. See, if you are giving read permissions on bucket ACL, they can see who all are having permission. If you are giving write bucket ACL permission, they can modify the permissions also. For example, now I have both the permissions, so I can see whoever have the permission. If we don't have this write permissions on this bucket, so then you know what happened? Another IAM users and all, they cannot change anyone's permissions. This is permissions related to the permissions on bucket. This is on object, whether this user have list permissions or not, or write permissions into this bucket or not. That is the first one. And every time we are going to have all the 4 tick marks. Second one, everyone. This is public access. So you can make data publicly, you can make this entire bucket publicly access. So you can give list permission and you can make read permission for the bucket ACL. This is not at all recommended. We never ever do that. If accidentally, if any user perform this, we will get a notification also. So scroll down. I understand the effect of this. See, when you grant access to the everyone or authenticated user groups grantees, anyone in this world can access the objects in this bucket. Click on save changes. So now if you observe here, it is a public and here you can see publicly accessible. So that is not at all suggestible. So we never ever do that. But of course, that feature is there. So we are discussing it. So here,
Sorry,
another
Avinash,
option,
I didn't catch you
how to
clearly.
access that I'll talk. You made it as a public, you might get a question how to access that and all, I'll answer that. That's why I'm giving a question and answers window. I hope you can understand that. Thank you, whoever it is. Right, here is the everyone permission. So then authenticated users option is there. So you have this data and you have another S3, you are the another S3 bucket. You want to share this bucket with another AWS account users. So in that case, you don't need to make public for everyone. So you can share it to another AWS account users by using an option called canonical ID. So to share a bucket with another AWS account users, we use canonical ID. So this canonical ID is going to be unique for every AWS account. For example, if we go here, if you pick my security credentials, here is the my security credentials. And if you observe account canonical user ID, earlier we used to get a lot of issues. So we can even use whenever we are giving these permissions, right? So here we need to add grantee. Whenever we are trying to add grantee, here we need to give canonical ID, or we need to give email address associated to that, account root email ID. But we face a lot of issues with that root email. So Amazon introduced a code called canonical user ID. This is mainly for S3 only. So we need to pick that canonical ID and we need to give that here. So for this particular AWS account user, what permission you want to give? Okay, I want to give list and write permission. If you want to add another grantee, yes, you can go here. You can give another AWS account canonical ID. So canonical ID can be used for sharing only S3. Apart from S3, we are not going to use anywhere. Only to sharing S3 resource, we use that. So even whenever you're selecting public access, like, here you can add particularly along with the public user, okay, specifically share it with another AWS account user. So that also we can give. So if I'm trying to give my own canonical ID, see here, if I'm trying to give my own canonical ID, it won't allow. Actually, it will, this is a canonical ID. I want to give list and write and scroll down, save changes. So you must specify a unique grantee. So here we can give another AWS account user canonical ID, then we can save changes. How that user can access? So is he going to get whenever we are making it public or whenever you are sharing with another AWS account user? How he is going to? Is he going to get that bucket here? No. The answer is no. Then how he is going to access that? So by using AWS CLI, otherwise by using third-party applications. By using any of this feature, they can, but by using console, there is no option to view the shared bucket or publicly accessible bucket. That data we cannot access. That is another thing here. Authenticated users, whoever have AWS account, everyone, anyone. So S3 log delivery group. So this feature we cannot control, but whenever you're using this bucket to store any of the logs, for example, you enable logging and you're storing logs into one particular bucket. So in that case, this feature is going to enable. So for example, here we have a bucket. Couple of days back, I have enabled logging on this bucket. I hope you remember this, Avinash TETE, right? So these are the logs. Yesterday I've shown you these logs also. I opened a log and I've shown. So what is happening? Another bucket required permission to store the logs in this particular bucket, right? So at the time, particularly this S3 log delivery group feature is going to enable. So another bucket, so this bucket is allowed to store logs. What permission? Write permission. So that another bucket have write permission to write the logs here. What bucket? Yesterday, I think we have taken a bucket and we have configured server access logging on this particular bucket. At the time, I did that. So that server access logging is going to be enabled whenever we are using this bucket to store any of the logs. Okay, so that is about the ACL. Now I'm open to all your questions. So guys, what is your questions now?
Avinash, if we allow the canonical access, means we allow the bucket to another account, so that time it will applicable for the whole account, or it will accessible only for the specific user?
It will applicable to the entire account. Why? Because canonical ID will be applied for only one canonical ID for an entire AWS account.
Okay, and they can able to access and read write as per given permission, right?
Yes. If you are giving just list permission, they can see all the data, they can copy all the data, but they cannot add any other data. They cannot delete the data.
Okay, only read and write it.
Yes.
Yep.
So typically we use the web server to deploy the application or website. Here we are copying the files to S3. Can we copy? See, that's why I mentioned Pragati. So S3 platform supports only static website hosting. If you're taking any .NET or Java, so that we will discuss. I'm going to configure Apache. I'm going to configure, I'll make you to configure Nginx. I'll configure IIS also. Those all things we will discuss in our EC2 module. And how to access S3 from that server, I'll explain there.
Avinash, sorry to say, but I didn't get this access control list ACL thing, because like I got a little confused. We have we can control a specific bucket by giving some permissions. How that is differ from this ACL?
Okay, but can you, so you want to share permission to another AWS account user, where we can do? See, here you are controlling permission for other IAM users. Here, if you want to make any data public, you are. But I want to make this entire bucket public first thing, and I want to share this bucket with another AWS account user. I want to share my bucket with you. How I can share? By using this feature, I can share. Where that feature is there, it's in ACL. So this is not a new concept, guys. For example, you have 2 to 3 users in your local laptop. So at moment as a what user I'm working? I'm working as a Avinash Reddy user I'm working now. So I have a file vpc.txt. So when we go to properties, here we have security options, right? This is what ACL means. This is a ACL for this particular file vpc.txt. So what permission this Avinash Reddy have? These permissions. Administrator, these permission. Now, how many users I have within this laptop? I want to share it for everyone. Then I can give edit, add a user, and I can give another user called everyone. See, for everyone, what permission you want to give? I want to give full control, apply, okay. So what I'm doing, for everyone, I'm giving some permission. For Avinash Reddy, I'm giving some permission. For administrator, I'm giving some permission. So now, whatever user we created, that user can access this vpc.txt. Why? Because everybody have permissions. Similarly, this is your S3 bucket. Whatever the user knows the S3 URL or bucket name, they can access this. If you made this setting, another AWS account user, for example, have exactly this Avinash Reddy user is there. Similarly, administrator user is there. For that user, what permission you want to give, that we are controlling by using these authenticated users. And so if this is a folder, okay, to whom you want to give permission to write logs into this particular folder, that we are going to control by using this. This is my own permissions. See, whenever you go to properties also, it's showing your own permissions, right? This is your own permission. Did I answer your question?
So to understand this clearly, so only admin can, as far as my understanding, only admin can create this access control log. Am I right?
Whoever have full access on S3 platform, they can do.
Okay, so take an example. I'm just having an access to create, like, put some file to the access, put some file into S3 buckets. So can I give an access control to other users? Because I have
First, did you got what I'm trying to say? Whoever have valid permissions on S3 platform. So you have permission to only put operation or full permission on S3. Only put operation? No. Apart from upload, you can't do anything. You have permissions on ACLs also. This is also a feature, right? If you have permission on ACL also, then you can modify this. That I am user. I hope you need to recap our last session. Why? Because yesterday we discussed about this. At that time, we have allowed one particular operation, we have denied one particular operation. And similarly, this ACL also, managing ACL also is a permission. So for that IAM user, if he have permission on ACL, then he can modify this.
Got it. Need to go through the previous classes.
So please go through the previous session.
Yeah.
Avinash, in S3,
Yes.
can we make entire folder as public? Or
only one folder we
individually?
cannot. We can make entire bucket public. If you want to make your one folder, like, you know, here, this is a folder. If you want to encrypt that, you can do the encryption and all. And if you go to this particular folder, here, you can make public by using this option. But here, under permission, we don't have any option to make only one folder and all. So if you want to make, go there and pick that make public option. If you want to make entire bucket public, pick this option, go here, make public. But all the future and subsequent uploads, again, you need to do that.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Okay, so along with that, making the data public and all, so we have another option called requester pays. Requester pays. When coming to the requester pays, so instead of the bucket owner who is requesting the data, he need to pay for that. For example, you are enabling this feature. So you are sharing this bucket, you are sharing this bucket to another AWS account user. But what you are worrying, he is going to download this data 100 times, 1000 times and all. But end of the month, who is going to get charged for that? I'm going to get charged for that. So if you're sharing a resource, if he's downloading 100 times by end of the month, who is sharing the resource is going to get charged for that. But whenever you're paying for this, whenever you're enabling this requester pays, so instead of the bucket owner, whoever is accessing the data, but only that guy is going to get charged for that. So whenever you're enabling this, anonymous access is going to be disabled. So that means, so whoever don't have AWS account or not logged into AWS account, they cannot access the data. Who have AWS account, they can access. So whoever is requesting the data from this S3 bucket, whoever is requesting the data from this S3 bucket, they will get charged for the requests in simple uploads or downloads, data transfers and all, they will get charged for that. See, when enable, the requester pays for the request and data transfer from this bucket. So for example, I shared to you, end of the month, I'll get the bill if you download 1000 times. But if I enable this feature, so whoever is accessing the data, so the request and all, you need to pay, but you must have an AWS account, then only you can. So that is a requester pays feature we never used in my entire career. I have not seen anyone who used that. So that is a very simple option. And any questions on that? So when coming to the permissions, so here we have one more option, that is CORS, cross origin resource sharing. So this CORS is not an AWS feature. So it is a web application feature. So if you're taking CORS, so CORS, cross origin resource sharing. If you want, you can go with the Node.js, Spring Boot, Web API, .NET Core, Salesforce. So it is applicable for web development part. So I'll try to explain, and we are not going to perform anything here. So we can use this bucket if you are hosting a static website and all. So you can use this CORS. I'll try to explain that mechanism. So if you're a developer, you need to understand, or you must already know that. If you're not a developer, you don't need to worry about that. Okay. So when coming to this cross origin resource sharing, so for example, you have a website. This is your website. So this website, this is a browser. Actually, we have a web server that want to deliver a website. For example, let's assume that website name is a.com. So from this browser, you are trying to access a.com. So now the request will go here. So that mechanism we call it as a request. And this web server is going to give response. Right. So from this browser, we are trying to access. This is a web server. A.com is hosted here. A.com is hosted here. Okay, my application or my browser is trying to access this A.com, and request went and response also given here. But what happened in backend, another web server will come to the scenario in this cross origin resource sharing. That is, okay, we have web content. This web browser is blocked to run some JavaScript and all. Why? Because for security reasons, your browser is not going to run any scripts. So what happened? So then another web server will come to the scenario. So here b.com is hosted. So what happened? Whatever the images or web pages that need to be delivered for this a.com technically will delivered from the b.com. How? So whenever this request is happening, one more request will come, that is pre-flight request. Pre-flight request will come. So then that pre-flight request will go to the another web server that is designed to deliver the website or script or anything that is related to a.com. So in backend, say technically you are seeing okay only a.com, but in backend this website also is going to load and it is going to deliver. So this is a original request will be delivered from here, right? So in this mechanism we are going to get like error messages like access control allow origin. This request we are going to call it as a access control allow origin, and if it is not able to load the web page and all, we are going to get access control allow origin as a no. So such type of things mainly whenever you are performing the web development and all, the developer they will get. And if you already have any experience with web development, you might see in this allow access control allow origin. So then what website? Okay, http://a.com or b.com. This is you're going to get. So if you're getting an error, the same thing is going to happen. But if it is not able to deliver any content, we are going to get it as a no. So if you want me to explain it very clearly, you have a web browser, you are trying to open google.com. Whenever you're trying to execute google.com, so Google web page is opened. But in backend, Google is going to use another website, static website. But are we able to see that? No. But how we are saying that it is going to use static and all? So whenever if you take any Windows server, whenever you're taking any Windows server, if you don't disable IEEHC Internet Explorer Enhanced Service Security Configuration, then it will tell you, okay, whenever you're trying to access this website, these are the web pages it's backendly loading for the resource sharing and all. So there, I can show you the output whenever I launched a particular server. So I can show you, but this is not a AWS concept. Whatever the configuration, CORS configuration you want to apply on this bucket, you can go here and you can apply. And here some sample templates are there using the S3 console. So go here, CORS configuration. So here creating a cross origin resource sharing configuration file. So these are the examples. So in this case, example1.com is there and access control request header is loading from example2 website. So we can just go here, copy and paste it. So for what operation it is going to and all, you can go here and you can try to understand this. So this is a mechanism. So whenever our browser is not supporting, to run any scripts in local, we are going to get the scripts or we are going to get the data. The script is going to run remotely and data is going to load within this. The data related to this a.com. Okay. So that is a CORS configuration, right? So I know you might have many questions and you might not get this mechanism. Why? Because it's completely different mechanism than S3. So if you want to know, just read some articles. What is CORS? Cross origin resource sharing. Here, Mozilla page, some videos also you can find here. CORS, what it is used for, medium.com. So and just go here, a couple of images. No, this guy didn't give any images. The same thing, whatever the image I have drawn, the same thing. So this also we don't use on S3 in our applications and all. Within application, we are going to use it, but not on S3. Whenever you are using S3 static website, you can configure that here. Right. So that is another feature. And then we have metrics. Metrics, you know what exactly it is. So we are going to get a graphs related to this S3 bucket. How much data is in Glacier, how much data is in standard. It is going to show the graphs and total bucket size and total number of objects. Only these two metrics are free. Remaining all are paid metrics. So what are the paid metrics? How we can add that in our CloudWatch? We will discuss that. So CloudWatch is a, like, you know, we have a dedicated session on that CloudWatch. So how to monitor our S3 bucket or any other resources. So we can just go here, we can create a dashboard, and after that, we can start adding widget and we have different visualizations. So then whenever you click on, it will ask, okay, to what service, related to what service you want to, okay, I am trying to get resource about S3. So for what particular bucket? For this particular bucket, you can just go here. You can get all the information here. For example, if you are taking this bucket size is approximately 2.7 GB, whatever the bucket I selected, right? So this is a number of objects. How many objects we have? 527 objects we have, like, you know, so those all we can find it here. So there we will go in detail, not at moment. So that's there is a dedicated service. With that service only we are getting these buckets. And storage class analysis. So when coming to the storage class analysis, we are going to get a report. We are going to get a report related to report on how we are accessing the data and best storage class for the data. So you have uploaded data and you have selected infrequently access, and daily you are accessing the data. So as you are accessing on daily basis, it's better to go with the S3 standard, right? Instead of so such type of report analysis. What is our storage class? Is it suitable for that data and the access pattern or not? So that report we are going to get from storage class analysis. Click on create storage class analysis configuration. So here is a configuration name. Do you want to make it applicable for only one particular folder or all the objects? I'm going to select all the objects. In what format you want to get the report? So a file will be exported every 24 hours. In last 24 hours, how we have accessed and all. So export in CSV format file. Yes, I want to get it in CSV format file. Where you are going to choose this? I'm going to choose that in Avinash bucket. So then click on create configuration. So first report is going to take minimum 48 hours. First report will take 48 hours. After that, we are going to get a CSV format file in the selected bucket. That can give a report like, you know, okay, this data is there, this accessing you are done daily basis or weekly basis, like, you know, so then it tells, okay, this is the best storage class for this thing and all. Once you get the report, you can understand, okay, then we can use it. So 90% of the times we go with the S3 standard. So if you want to analysis of exactly the access pattern and all, then you can go and enable this report. That is a storage class analysis. And replication metrics, whenever you enable RTC, replication time control feature, then we are going to get a couple of graphs here. So whenever you are configuring cross-region replication or same region replication, we have a feature called replication time control. If you enable that replication time control, so the data will replicate within 15 minutes. How big that file is. If you're taking 1 GB or 2 GB file, 10 GB, 15 GB files also, 99.99% of the objects replicate within 15 minutes. How many objects is replicating? How many objects fail to replicate? Those all graphs we are going to get. How exactly we got graphs here? Similarly, we will get graphs here. This we will get whenever you enable that particular feature, but that feature won't comes under free tier eligibility, right? So you don't need to pay much attention towards that. Management, we know what exactly lifecycle rules, you know what is replication rules. Inventory report, this is gives complete report about the S3 bucket. We have seen that in our last session, and we don't depend on these inventory reports. So give me a minute. I want to show you a couple of things. I will show you a real environment, guys. 1 second. Right, so those are some important features. So pay attention towards encryption, pay attention towards the bucket policy. And then when coming to certification point of view, pay attention to the versioning, pay attention to the lifecycle management role, cross-region replication or same region replication. Storage classes is always important. So these are the topics, pay some attention. Right. So how to access this? If anyone shared a bucket with you, or like, you have a public bucket, how to access that, or how to integrate AWS S3 platform with third-party application, that I'll explain you in our next session. Okay, it's already 8:50. So that particular part I will talk about in our next session. Then import and export also is a topic. So that also we will discuss in our next session. Right. So with that topics, we are going to done with the S3 platform. Of course, not completely. We will come back to S3 and we will see how we can access S3 from our web servers and how to access S3 without having internet and all. Those all things we are going to discuss in our EC2 and VPC module. Okay. So any questions before closing the session, guys?
Avinash, in the billing metrics, right, that you were showing us, right? So I was following that session again, right? So the options that you were getting were quite more than I received, right? When I went on the billing option, and just to configure.
Where
I put that question on Slack as well. I added the
okay,
screenshot.
I missed that question. I maybe late night yesterday. This is the one. Logs usage. Not okay. If you are not able to get the billing metrics, you need to enable one feature here. So whenever you go to my account, so here we have a billing preferences option. Scroll down, enable this feature. So you need to turn on this feature to monitor your AWS usage, charges, recurring and all. And basically this is a one-time operation. Once you enable, it cannot be disabled. So whenever you enable this particular feature, then only you are going to get all that metrics.
Avinash, can you show me where we can see the free tier limitations? I forgot actually.
Okay, simple. Go to my billing dashboard.
Okay.
Click on that my billing dashboard. So just scroll down. Here you can see top free tier services by usage.
Thank you.
So you can find all the free tier, like how much you already used out of this available one. This is the first thing. Second thing, go to the same page and here we have billing preferences option. Go to the billing preferences. Here enable this feature. Receive free tier usage alert. Whenever you enable, if you consume 80% of the free tier limitation, you will get notification. For example, I recently got a notification. Free tier, see here on seven days back, AWS free tier usage limit alerting. See, code pipeline 1.0 is like, we already consumed 80%. Such type of notifications also you will get whenever you enable this feature. Okay.
So if you have to convert it to a paid account, right? What do we have to do? I mean,
No need to. If you are not using, for example, I told like S3 standard comes under free tier. But if you are using
yes.
Glacier, you are going to get charged. There is nothing like a paid account and free account. So for example, sometime back I logged in, their bill $50,000 and all, but still console looks same. Service.
I mean, just for a little bit of operations, right? I mean, that we want to try by ourselves, right? I mean, if this is going to cost us $5 or $10, then we can a month.
No,
Then
even if you observe, see how many, how I'm using, you have seen that, right? So you can see my bill also. It's just like a $1.5, $1.23. See, you can just it's not going to cost you much. Trust me.
yes, yes.
$0.00056 per Glacier. See, so it cost me for entire month. It cost me 0.02 cents.
Okay, that is beyond your free. I mean, you are having the free tier account, but this is the cost that you have to pay additionally.
No, I am not in. Yeah, of course, you can treat in same manner. So total this S3 cost me 8 cents. So paying 8 cents, I believe it's not a big thing actually.
Yeah. Okay, so we have to configure. This is kind of postpaid kind of thing. I mean, post payment kind of thing. How can we
You
configure
are
the
going to get a
details?
bill, and if you are okay, then only you can pay. Otherwise, you don't need to pay. Account is going to be suspended if you don't want to pay. So,
Okay.
but for just for $1 or $2, don't suspend your account. So try to get. And S3 is not going to cost you more than $1. Trust me. With the things we practiced, until unless you work with like huge amount of the file, like 1 GB, 2 GB files. If you are working with simple text document and all, it's not even is going to cost you.
Okay. Yeah, fine.
Right. So any other questions before closing the session, guys? Do we have class tomorrow? No session tomorrow. Sunday is always like we don't have sessions on Sundays. How to download a folder from S3 by using URL, not from the CLI. So from console we don't have the rush, but by using third-party applications we can, like you can simply perform drag and drop options also. And from console, no. Multiple files you can select and you can click on download. It will download, or you can click on download as. Any other questions for me, guys? Where Linux used in AWS, that we are going to discuss, like from Tuesday onwards we are going to start with the EC2 module, right? So there we are going to use Linux. Okay, I have uploaded the S3 document also here. Okay, so that's it for today's session, guys. See you again on Monday. Thank you. Have a nice weekend.
Thank you.